Well, Zack Snyder has thrown us the biggest bomb, Batman v Superman bomb ever. That Dick Grayson is the DCEU's dead Robin. What? We all assumed it was Jason Todd, right? Just like in the comics. But no. It's Dick Grayson, the most popular version of Robin. Zack Snyder, David Goyer, Chris Terrio. Why would you actually do this? This is insane. I love MOS, I love BVS, I love Zack Snyder, I love his work. But at the end of the day, this is absolutely ridiculous. Whose idea was this to actually come up with this idea? And surely to high hell, we are not going to insist in this and going forward that Dick Grayson is actually dead within the DCEU. The only other way is to represent him in DC Dark, of course. This is the genius of what they're doing, really, with Walter Hamada's idea of having a DC Dark and a DC Light. At least you can kind of resurrect characters in the other kind of worlds. But I don't believe this is going to stick because nothing's said within Batman v Superman that it is Dick Grayson. So you could kind of, if Walter Hamada doesn't like that idea, he doesn't have to go with it. But this is where it goes wrong, and this is why Zack had such a hard time by some fans. It's because decisions like this lack any logic whatsoever. It is not logical to kill off Dick Grayson. You kill off Jason Todd like he was killed off in the comics because he wasn't a very popular Robin, right? You don't go killing off Dick Grayson. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's just weird. I mean, I just try and think. You're sitting there, you're writing a film. I know, right? We'll have this really awesome Easter egg from when the Joker kills Robin. That was massive, death in the family. We all know the story, right? But you don't kill off Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson is awesome. You know how I was introduced to Dick Grayson? Through the original Batman TV series. Yeah. He was awesome in that. He's awesome in the comics. He's awesome as Nightwing. You just wouldn't want to kill that character off unless you're dead in the head. And no offense, Zack, love you to bits, but I think you must have been snorting something heavy. Maybe it wasn't Zack's idea. Maybe it was the writers. We always forget, whether you love the DCEU or not, that actually Zack Snyder didn't write one line of any of the films. Yup, that's right. You can look at him to the tone, to the editing, but you can't look at him to the writing, because the first two films were predominantly written by David S. Goyer. So it's very interesting when we do talk about Man of Steel, we do talk about BVS, we talk about Zack Snyder. Now, visually, you can talk about him till you're blue in the face. That's fun, but within the writing, so I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it was Terrio and David Goyer who decided that it would be Dick Grayson. Maybe they thought they were being shocking. But it's like The Last Jedi with Rian Johnson. We don't need shocks that are going to disappoint us. Do you know what I mean? And after all, we're paying the money, the fans. Now, they know damn well not one fan would want Dick Grayson dead. This is why I don't understand when people are, creating live action from comic books or books or, or kind of reboots from classic films. Why they do things that they know will upset people. Maybe they want the PR, the marketing. But this is just lunacy. It's absolute lunacy. You wouldn't do this. If you, look, me or you writing Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, you don't think, who can be the Robin who dies? Nah, not Jason Todd. Dick Grayson, the most popular one. You just wouldn't do it, would you? And I'm very disappointed because Zack's been giving us some great pearls, from Batman v Superman. Not so much Man of Steel because that's all out there, But, you know, we've been finding out some great things about Justice League, BVS, but this is one of those things, personally, I didn't need to know, because it's a negative. It's a pure negative, and you kind of think, you know, Zack Snyder's trying to enhance his reputation. We're trying to enhance his reputation because he's a bloody good filmmaker, and then we hear this, and as usual, he will get the blame. Now, for all I know, it might have been Zack who decided that it was Dick Grayson who was the Robin who died, but whoever thought about it, you know, when you go to bed tonight, when you're sitting on your own, I want you to think about this, right? That Dick Grayson means a lot to a hell of a lot of people in terms of fans, and why would you kill him off? It just doesn't make sense. As I say, if it was just for shock value, and I mean, obviously, that is an interesting situation because that's not the only thing that's been revealed. There's something else that's been revealed. I'm not sure if it was Zack who revealed it, but actually there was a very important scene between Batman and Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, which was cut out, where they do discuss Robin. Now, I'm assuming this is where this has come from, about Dick Grayson being the one who was killed. And in fact, in that conversation, it's revealed. Now, what a shame we couldn't have had that scene. You know, that would have been awesome. I mean, we did see kind of a scene between Batman and Harley, but it was only when he was chasing her and the Joker when they were, you know, driving crazily in the car, and then when they're underwater. So there was no dialogue, which was, you know, I would have loved Margot Robbie and Ben Affleck to actually go at it verbally. That would have been interesting. Why did they cut that out? Well, I'll tell you why they cut that out, because they probably, and I think it's Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers was right here. They probably thought, nah, you're not killing off Dick Grayson. Are you man? And I think that's probably why they cut that out. So it is extremely interesting, but it's very surprising and very shocking that anyone would even think of this. But let me explain to you so you're not too worried about it. Basically, Dick Grayson isn't dead now in the DCEU. Otherwise, they would have allowed it in that scene between Harley Quinn and Batman in Suicide Squad. That's why they cut it out, because Warner Brothers just did not agree with it. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. Just have to worry about the sanity of whoever's idea it was. And this is why I'm glad we're getting to a better place within the DCEU, because Walter Hamada is too clever to do things like that. He's going to be a fan pleaser. This is what I can gauge this already, because doing a DC Light, doing a DC Dark shows me that he is going to be a fan pleaser. He wants to give people the best of both worlds. The Joker movie, I think, will be very reminiscent of the Killing Joke, but a better version than what we got in the animated movie, which was a hugely disappointing film. And I think I'm not the only one who thinks that. So even though this was a crazy decision to kill off Dick Grayson, and I keep on repeating myself because it's like I'm asleep and I'm having a nightmare. You know, no one in their right mind would ever do this, but it doesn't change the fact that I love MOS, I love BVS, I love the DCEU. But sometimes, and it's not just the DCEU or Warner Brothers, I just think about everyone who works on these highly popular properties. When they make these decisions, I wonder what they're thinking of. And they can't be thinking of the fans. And, you know, we're your customer. We're actually your bosses. You want us to go to your films and make money. I just wonder if the fans were put first with the Justice League situation, we would never have got to only 650 million global box office. No, we would have had an awesome one. And I'm not even talking about the Snyder Cut or the Whedon Cut, because even in the Snyder Cut, and this is the reality, you know, Superman still doesn't wear the black suit. The resurrection isn't done like it's done in the comics. It's all very, very different. So even, you know, if you had the Snyder Cut, it's still a pretty similar film to what we saw. There's just going to be a few more extra bits and pieces in it. So ultimately, I think what has to happen is the comics are a great place to, when you're doing a live action CBM, say, wow, let's just use this. This is awesome anyway. Let's just use this. Now, I don't mind people putting their own takes on things, but don't take something that people love, roll it up and toss it over your shoulder, because that is just not on. You want to call us babies for complaining about these type of things? sitting in a basement. I don't care. You know, I think what we're saying is logical. Listen more to the fans. Keep it DC, everyone. I'll be back.